Hello there, everybody. And for Halloween, we are reviewing Freaky. So this came out, I think, 2019. And it stars Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn, who have swapped bodies. I don't know why I said it like that, but this is a really fun horror movie that I don't see a lot of people talking about. But the best part of this movie is how modern it feels. And some people may think that because of how modern it is, it could just have a bunch of cliches. Yeah, but all horror movies have like a bunch of cliches, but that's what makes it fun. Like, we can enjoy horror movies with all the tropes they got. But this time it's Freaky Friday. And we've seen Freaky Friday done in movies, like in the Disney movie, for example. And body swapping isn't new in storytelling, yes, but this time it's a serial killer plot twist. So it stars a girl named Millie, Catherine Newton's character, who isn't exactly the most popular girl, and that's something I don't really get, because Catherine Newton is very beautiful, in my opinion. I mean, I love Jenna Ortega, but Catherine Newton's also very beautiful, so I don't understand why she wouldn't be popular. But she gets bullied by schoolmates, she gets bullied by her teacher. But while that's all going on, she also has a not really the best home life. Her mom, ever since her father passed away, she now has to kind of look out for herself a little. And her mom, who's now depressed, and her sister's a cop. But while this is all going on, we got a serial killer called the Butcher, not Billy Butcher, but Vince Vaughn's character. And the way the movie opens of him, you're already getting a sense that it's gonna be a gory movie. He literally kills a bunch of teenagers while they're hanging out at the house. He literally grabs like a tennis racket and just shoves it through the person's skull. Like, it's gory, but it's a fun movie. And yeah, there's homages to like movies like Scream and other slashers. But as this is going on, what causes Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn to swap bodies is during a football game. Millie is the mascot, a beaver, but while waiting for her sister to pick her up, and for some reason she did not go with her friends to get taken home, and I would have taken it to get home, but that's where she encounters the Butcher, and she is chased by him on the football field, and the man has broken into the house earlier, and he stole a special knife, and he's going to use it on Millie, and he does, but he doesn't kill her. It causes them to literally swap bodies through this Illuminati sort of stuff, and the next day, they swap bodies. And Catherine Newton's now stuck in Vince Vaughn, and Vince Vaughn is stuck in Catherine Newton. It's very confusing, but I think you get the point if it's mind swap. It's like Spider-Man and Wolverine when they swap bodies. But what really makes this movie good is Vince Vaughn, because he actually said, well, since he's trying to be Catherine Newton's character, he plays the nice teenage girl who has a heart towards others and her friends. But as for Catherine Newton, when Vince Vaughn is possessing her, and she kind of still acts like the serial killer, but in interesting ways. She mainly just stares creepily at her family, and she actually almost stabs her sister. But when things really take a turn is when she goes to school. She puts on this red leather jacket, and she goes up against her bullies. This one girl that was teasing her, and I think he froze her in a freeze chamber, and she gets broken apart once Vince Vaughn goes to the school. Yeah, so I'm going to refer to Millie as Vince Vaughn and the Butcher, and I think you get the point. So Millie does go to the school when she figures out, like, oh my goodness, I've swapped bodies, and she tries to convince people that she's not the killer, but swap bodies, but people just freak out. Of course, because his mugshot's on the police sketches on the news. But she goes to the school, and she takes a shower, and she has to experience what being a boy is like, or a man, whatever you want to call it. But she can use Vince Vaughn's body to her advantage. She literally stands up to her bullies. He literally, like, she picks up one of her bullies by the collar and he pees himself. That scene was funny. But she encounters her best friends, who freak out, of course, and the two run away, but he convinces them that they swap bodies by doing one of the school battle cries or whatever. And they actually do go figure it out. They swap bodies. And so the way they find out about this is they go to one of their Spanish teachers who knows about the lore of the knife. And it turns out they only got 24 hours. They have to literally find Kathryn Newton and stab her with the knife so they can switch back. But while that's all going on, Vince Vaughn ends up going to one of her teachers who's been bullying Millie, and he was bullying her while Vince Vaughn is trapped in her body. But he later goes up to him, and he actually kills him. And he, of course, the teacher takes the advantage, of course, but eventually he is stabbed by a screwdriver and shoved into a wood saw. It's very brutal, probably the best death in this movie. But they end up the friends and Millie end up finding Kathryn Newton, but he's able to convince the cops that the butcher's right there, and so they have to run for it. But while that's all going on, they end up going to a costume store, I'm pretty sure, to look for a costume for a disguise for Millie. But easily the best scene in this movie is where, because Millie's in the butcher's body, he's able to have a talk with the mom, but by hiding into the dressing room, and they actually have a nice conversation about how frustrated they are. Millie wants to go to college, but her mom doesn't really want her to, but she feels she wants her to go, but she doesn't want to feel so lonely. And like the mom actually asks her daughter out, but not realizing that's the butcher and Millie's in the body. So it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. But that scene was really good. But it's interrupted by the sister, who shows up after realizing the butcher's still out there. But they end up using a mask for Millie to hide. But it turns out Kathryn Newton's at the butcher is literally at like some frat house or whatever, this haunted maze. So they go to it, and I think he almost makes a few kills. I think one of them, I'm pretty sure, but they end up knocking him out. So and they tie him up, and they actually save one of Millie's crushes, and he actually has to Millie has to convince him that it's her. But when he does, the butcher actually calls Millie the C word. So yeah, it was dark. Sorry if this is confusing. The whole brain swap thing is confusing to explain, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. But they have no choice. They have to find a knife in the evidence room at the police station. So one of Millie's friends stays behind to watch the butcher tied up. But they end up going to the police station, and Millie actually confesses that she loves the boy she likes, and they actually kiss, even though it's Vince Vaughn kissing the teenage boy. So it's weird, but we know it's Millie trying to make her move. But once they switch back, they can actually be together in an appropriate age setting. But I think you get what I'm trying to say. But while that's all going on, one of Millie's friend's mother comes into the door, and one of the side plots is that I think he wants to come out as gay, but he actually says he's straight to his mom. But the mom says, "You're many things. Straight isn't one of them." But because she finds Millie tied up, and he almost convinces the mom that it's just sexual role play. It's a funny scene, but the butcher escapes, and the two run for it. But what happens next is the butcher goes to like this frat party where a bunch of the football players are, but they find a knife, and they literally have to gather together to find of the butcher, and they actually do, but they only have a few minutes left. But the butcher ends up killing a bunch of the football team players, and they die brutally. It's kind of like the death in I Know What You Did Last Summer. But what happens next is they actually manage to tackle the butcher killer, but they only have a minute left, and they think it's too late. And then the butcher laughs maniacally because they can't switch back. But they realize the time's off because of the watch, which they said earlier. But they stab Millie, and she's able to switch back finally. And I do like the line where their friends like, shoot that mother, and then they actually shoot Vince Vaughn, and it's now he's back in the killer's back in his body. But the characters all go home, hug, and it turns out Millie's mom is letting her go to college, saying it's her life. But it turns out, here's a plot twist, the butcher actually survived his gunshot, and he somehow made it back. This is my only issue with the movie. It's just like, I wonder how he survived that. But then again, it's horror movies. People survive the most weirdest ways possible. But it has a final showdown, and Millie realizes that the men have weaknesses. They're balls, and she is able to kick Vince Vaughn in the balls, and she uses a chair to stab him through the chest, and he dies. So yeah, and that's the movie. Freaky is definitely a fun movie for sure. I've had some nitpicks overall, but I think it's a fun movie to watch with friends, or if you just want to have a fun Halloween movie to watch, just with Freaky Friday. But I give this movie an 8 out of 10. So, yeah, I like Catherine Newton, but my only issue with Catherine Newton's character is, like, after they swap bodies, Catherine Newton doesn't have too much to do. I kind of wish she got more to do in her own body, but Vince Vaughn is easily the highlight of this movie because he's trying to be Millie, so yeah, it's definitely fun. And the deaths are really creative, too, and it I do like how it pays homage to lifestyles in high school as like a modern setting, which is what I like about this movie. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for this movie. And for the final Halloween review of this month, we're doing Halloween 2. So that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.